One of the reasons why I believe the CFPB is going to be permanently closed is because of this right here. Pay very close attention.
The Bureau has recovered over $20 billion for consumers, but late last week, its dismantling, its disappearing act was there for all to see as workers took down the building's signage. A federal judge imposed a temporary restraining order to stop budget cuts at the Bureau and any more firings.
Crazy, right? Now you see. Now, one of the reasons why your accounts keep coming back verified is because the system is designed for you to fail. I want you to pay very close attention to this right here.
None of us have ever interviewed anybody in Chile from Experian, and we've got a federal court ordering them to bring these people forward, and we're still waiting.
Much of what's known about the inner workings of the consumer credit agencies come out of lawsuits filed by Len Bennett and Sylvia Goldsmith, who have subpoenaed company records and deposed employees and executives. They say under the current system, there is no way for people like Judy Thomas to get their problem solved.
So all these people who take the time to meticulously document a case that the bill isn't theirs or the bill has been paid, that is never seen by anybody?
It's not seen by anyone who considers it in determining whether or not information will be removed from a credit report.
It's not forwarded on to the person who has the complaint with you?
No, it is never forwarded on. Never forwarded on to the creditor.
We can get a jury verdict for $1 million. That's chump change to some of these bureaus. They would rather pay a verdict in $1 million than to actually go in and change the policies and procedures that they have, because that's much more expensive to them.
I can say this without qualification. The dispute procedures used by the credit reporting agencies, uniformly used, completely fail to comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Courts have found that. The Federal Trade Commission has found that. It's not even a close call.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine agreed.
I think the industry is a mess, and I think the impact it has on real people is just unconscionable.
You think they're breaking the law?
I think they're breaking the law. There is no doubt in my mind they are breaking the law.
We wanted to talk to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, but like most consumers, we were unsuccessful. The agencies referred us to the spokesman for their lobbying group in Washington. He, too, declined our request for an on-camera interview, but did provide a written statement, citing an industry-sponsored survey that showed 95% of its customers were satisfied with the dispute process. The industry maintains it's in compliance with federal law.
Man, that's crazy, right? Now I want you to hear what my lawyer has to say.
When I describe to you all what actually happens behind the scenes when you dispute something, it's going to make you fall out of your chair.
Okay.
So let me give a real quick 10,000-foot view of what it means when you dispute. Okay. So there's 4 to 5 primary methods that you can dispute right now. You can send a letter. You can do it on the phone. You can send a fax. You can do it through the CFPB. And you can also do it through the FTC in certain circumstances.
Okay.
So I send a letter, a phone call, fax, something to these bureaus. Let me explain this process. So I can send a 20-page letter, and they're still going to distill it down to 3 characters. I can send a 6-minute voice, conversation about what's going on. Every dispute is categorized by these companies down to 3 characters. It's usually a letter and then 2 digits, 2 numbers. And that's supposed to tell what your dispute is about.
Right.
And so what happens is all your information gets down to those 3 characters. And that's done by a computer. Right now it's done by a lot of AI. Before they were sending stuff overseas, and they still do that, which I'm going to explain. So you start a dispute. You say, hey, I don't want this on my credit report. I don't give you permission. I'm opting out. And again, that's not what that statute says, but nonetheless, a computer read that information and took it down to a letter and 2 digits. And then it ships that 3-digit code to the computer that's furnishing the information. That's the debt collector or the car note company. And all it does, its computer looks at those same 3 pieces of information and says, oh no, yeah, we're reporting right, and shoots an information, just an information signal back that says, okay, verify. And usually that's just one digit, like a 1 or a 2 or 3. There's seldom any human involvement. There's no concerning review of the information. It's almost always automated. So that's the reason why real disputes that have real validity, if there's an ID theft issue or past statute of limitations or you settled an account, that's why they verify everything, is because it's almost always just one computer talking to another. Now, the reason why I ultimately said it can be deleted is because those systems get overwhelmed. And when the computer queues fill up, it does get sent to live agents in the Philippines or in India and some other countries, but they're all overseas. And that's only when there's an overflow. Those people make mistakes. They might look at a letter and say, hey, that looks impressive. She cited a statute, and just hit the delete button because they're getting paid 37 cents an hour and they don't care. So that's why I started by saying everything can be deleted, because depending on the person or the computer or the process, that's going to determine who is actually doing the quote investigation. And this is the funny part. The law says you have to perform a reasonable investigation.
Right.
Well, how is that reasonable when it's just one computer talking to another about 3 digits? So great question, Robin. It allowed me to kind of talk about the dispute process. It is set up to fail. It's why I have a job, because if all the disputes worked, I couldn't sue them. But yeah, the system is set up to just agree with the original reporter. And let's talk about why. Do you know how Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, they make their money? Have you ever paid them?
I believe I know how. Yeah, they make their money because companies pay them to report the information.
Amen, Robin. It's like we set that up before tonight. That's exactly right. They make their money, the billions of dollars, because Capital One is paying them 10, 20, $30 million a year. Every time Capital One sends them information about you, they have to pay them a little bit of money. So who are they going to agree with? If you reach out to them and say, I'm right, Capital One's wrong, but Capital One is paying them $10 million a year, are they going to agree with you? Or are they going to agree with their partner? So the system's set up to fail. It's why like lawyers like me are so important, to get connected to people like you and consumers and other, people like Dave and Mike, because the system's set up to fail. And as a consumer, you're going against billion-dollar corporations who hire $1,000 an hour lawyers who have glass mansion firms in the biggest cities in the world. And it's David versus Goliath. But yeah, they don't make their money from me or you. They make their money from the companies. So of course they agree with them.
Right.
Set up to fail.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How can you actually get results? I want to share with you 2 ways. Number 1, you can join the credit circle where I can guide you through the process of knocking the credit bureaus out. Or you can learn how to turn your credit report into a stimulus check by watching this video right here.